extreme detail.
Well, good afternoon, friends. Good evening. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. There we go. Got a nice crowd here today. And just wanted to say thanks to everybody that's out here live from the Sheraton Hotel Conference Center here in Georgetown, Texas. This, friends, is the season finale of SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. It's been a fun year so far. We'll dig into this in just a few moments, but on the low end, 21 folks. On the high end, we had 49. We're averaging around 35 guests, and I think tonight we've got a lot of folks here. So let's give a round of applause for all those that have been coming this season. Thank you for being here and being a part of this show every single week. Well, Coach, as we go back here in the first segment, the Pirates coming off their final home game of the season and a 16-24 loss versus Howard Payne. That game was tied 14 apiece at the half. 5 turnovers, gave up 10 points in that fourth quarter, however. Coach, again, another tough loss this past Saturday, and really, going back, even more starters in this ball game were lost. The defense allowed 10 points in the final quarter. Kind of walk us through that final fourth quarter in this one.
It was a tough. Turn me up. Hello, good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Tough second half. We've really struggled offensively throughout the season. Of course, 5 more turnovers doesn't help things, and we lost 4 offensive starters throughout the game. We lost Austin Emery, we lost Elijah Smith, we lost David Brandenburg, we lost Jacob Wiebelhaus, and of course those guys are all going to be out this weekend. What a crazy season. We've lost over 30 players. We've got about half our offense out now to match more than half of our defense having been out. And of course I say it every week, and it's not an excuse, but it's a reason. It's been a very difficult season. But our guys fought really hard, and they came out with great energy. And we got down by 7. We came right back, and we fought them. It was a scoreless third quarter. Unfortunately, we ran out of juice in the fourth quarter. It's really tough to win when your offense turns the ball over, and we are one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation in taking care of the ball this year. And so, of course, that's a head-scratcher for the coaches and the players. It's something we work on all the time. We work on all through practice. But we've turned the ball over way too much. We put our defense on the field way too often. And we just didn't do enough offensively to help our defense. I think our defense did a really good job, and they're so I don't know if depleted is the right word. I mean, to have 4 starters out of 11, and some of the backups are out. We're down to our second, third guys. We had a secondary full of freshmen in this game, and they really hung in there really well. They stopped them a lot. Not a great start, but a great job in the second and third quarters, and then the field position and the turnovers caught up with them in the fourth quarter. But I really was proud of the effort that our defense gave. I'm proud of the effort our offense gave. We just made too many mistakes. And those 5 turnovers are critical errors. We also had 5 or 6 holding penalties that ended drives also. So we just couldn't really put one foot in front of the other, so to speak, as an offense in the second half, and it caught up with us.
Well, Coach, speaking about that offense, 273 yards on the ground. The rushing game has been solid for the Pirates this entire season. In this game, of course, we talked about the injury to Austin Emery, but before the injury, he and Elijah Smith both had over 100 yards on the ground. How impressed this season? It's a staple here at Southwestern with the football program, but this season specifically, and going back to the previous game, how impressed have you been with that running game?
It's what we want to do, and the more that folks understand that and get what we're trying to do, the more they'll understand our system. And we are a different football program in that we have different restrictions in our recruiting, which means we're going to be very different schematically. And the more that we can control the game and run the football, the better we're going to be. And we're just 2 seasons away from being second in the entire nation in rushing. We're still a top 25 team. Our limitations this year have not been our ability to run the football. In fact, as you analyze our blocking and our offensive line play and our running back play, we've blocked better than last year. We've just fumbled the ball about 30 times. And it's really tough to do much and get first down and sustain drives when you fumble as much as we have. And Austin Emery's played 2.5 games, and he's averaging 100 yards per game. Landry Gilpin played in 3 games. He's averaging almost 100 yards per game. So our quarterback run game, which keys our running back run game, Elijah Smith you mentioned, he gets our wings involved, David Brandenburg and Austin Castilleja. It all stems through our ability to run. What we've been missing because we turned the ball over is consistent run game, which has really hurt our play-action passing game. In years past, you've seen us have outstanding numbers in the play-action passing game. In fact, we hold the ASC conference record in yards per completion and yards per attempt because we're so efficient in what we do in our play-action passing game. We haven't been able to get into that. In fact, our offensive passing efficiency has been really down, and that's also hindered our offense a little bit as we've gone through.
Coach, you mentioned some of this already, the turnovers in this ball game. We won't harp on that, but what did you tell the guys after?
Go ahead, harp on it. I mean, it's a story.
What did you tell the guys after this one?
Oh, man, you got to ask players those things. It's all a blur after games like that. It was tough. I mean, we lost to a team that if we'd played them week 1, I think it would have been very, very – how many varies might put in? Very, 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 very different. Good enough. We beat them by 72 years ago, beat them by 50 last year. It was a tough loss. I think our guys understand the situation. You don't have to explain to them the lineup. I mean, they're in the locker room. They see the guys on the crutches and on the scooters, and they see who's not out there, and they see us moving players from offense to defense and whatever else to try to fill holes and get our best players out on the field. But it was a tough game, and it was a tough pill to swallow. There wasn't a whole lot to say. I think after the game I remember, thanking our seniors and thanking them for a great senior day and all the contributions that they've made. They had 3 straight winning seasons come into this year, and a lot of things stacked up that are going to keep us from having the 4th in a row. But they've made great contributions to our team. So I know I thank them for that, and there wasn't much else to be said. I mean, if you follow our football team and you've watched us play and you've seen that the players drop off from week to week, and when you see the difficulty we've had on offense taking care of the football and the quarterback turnover and some other things, and then to lose David Brandenburg, who's going to be a 3-time all-conference player. We lost our center. We lost our top running back. We lost our top 2 running backs throughout the season. It just has been a season unlike any that I've ever coached, and I think it'll be unlike any other that I will ever coach again. It's not possible. You can't lose more than half your starters. It's not going to happen. Coach Bill Kriesel, our defense coordinator, made a point this week. He said, I went back and watched our entire game with Hardin Simmons last year. And these last 2 years, we played them really tough. It's been a 1-score game in the 4th quarter both years against this team, and they've been just as good as they are now. Last year on defense, we had all of our starters. Mm-hmm. And on offense, we had lost Kalen Hyman, TJ Vela to injuries. We had 9 of the 11. And that's pretty normal. You're going to lose 1 or 2 throughout the year, either for the year or from a game-to-game situation. And this year we're going to go into our last game with about 35 to 40% of our starters. What a difference a year makes, and how much more difficult this year will be. From last year, last year we scored 5 touchdowns and put up over 500 yards against this team. It's going to be difficult to duplicate that this year. But this is a temporary situation for our football team, not a permanent one. But we're going to do the best we can this weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk about that plenty in the 4th quarter.
Well, Coach, you mentioned it's been a season of injuries, and despite those injuries, a valiant effort. 1 final game remaining. Of course, we'll talk about that in the 4th segment. But, Coach, as always, appreciate your time, and looking forward to the upcoming segment here in just a few moments. Make sure to stay with us as we have a special interview, a special guest here this evening, Dr. Gleda Mont. We will interview her and her wonderful career here at Southwestern University. Stay with us, friends. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues in just a few moments.
You have to put your fork down and take a break.
We'll be back in just a few moments. Stay with us, friends.
Welcome back to segment 2 of SU Football Weekly. I am the head coach, Joe Austin, and I have moved chairs. And if you want to know why I've moved chairs, it's because I've gone from being the interviewee to the interviewer. A smattering of applause. And if you want to know what I'm doing, you should understand that this is what I went to school for. I don't know if you read deep enough in my resume when you interviewed me, that when I went to school in my undergrad, I was a communications student. I did radio production, I did television production, I did cable TV. I did broadcasting of sporting events for cable access. I did everything from women's football. I did the NCAA track and field championships. Oh, Marissa, what else did I do? Anyway, I was going to be a sports broadcaster until I was injured my last year of my football career. And to keep my football scholarship, I became a student assistant football coach, and then a graduate assistant football coach, and then a real football coach. And at the age 24, the youngest offense coordinator in the country, and the age 28, the youngest head coach. And then here I am interviewing you, far away from what I went to school for. And don't look at my notes, because I've prepared a pretty good list of questions for you.
Well,
so
I was going to say, we can always add secondary responsibilities to you.
All right, so that's why I've saved all of this. I have enough responsibilities, I think, but you never know. So I am joined tonight by a very special guest, Dr. Gleda Munt, who last week announced that after 45 years of exemplary service to Southwestern, this will be her final year as our athletic director and associate vice president for athletics.
Yeah.
We will give that a round of applause. So I'm your only football coach. How'd I do?
As my football coach, you've been spectacular. I will tell you, I interviewed 257 applicants. And Joe, I didn't interview. I read 257. We interviewed probably 10 to 15. Joe is the last one that I interviewed. And as I like to tease him, we were up in Indianapolis. I interviewed him at the NCAA convention. And after I got done interviewing him, he interviewed me. And wanted to make sure that Southwestern was serious about starting football, that we were going to do it the right way. And I could see that he and I are both so anal retentive. We were a great match.
That's right. When we have meetings, there's a lot of notes taken, a lot of paper.
Yes, there
Not
is.
much eye contact because everybody's writing the whole time, but that's fine. We know what's going on. So we're going to go all the way back. You grew up as a military brat. What did that teach you?
Well, one, it's an appreciation for the military. My father was career Air Force. My mother was a World War II nurse. She recently passed away. She passed away on the 4th of July. She would have been 101 in September. I have a nephew-in-law that is a Navy pilot. He's top 1% of the Navy pilots. He's a test pilot for the Navy. I have another nephew that is a Marine, former Marine, and then my brother-in-law was Army, and of course my mother was Army Nurse Corps. So we have all the branches of the service covered. So I think I grew up with a lot of military discipline in there.
And then what was the highlight of your childhood?
Highlight of what?
Highlight of your childhood, moving around and having all these experiences. What's the one thing that sticks out?
Well, I think when we went up to Omaha, Nebraska, and I saw snow for the first time, I think that was probably one of my biggest highlights. But we had the opportunity to travel around and go to Cape Canaveral, see some launches and different things like that. So we had a good time.
So you came to Southwestern in 1975. What car were you driving?
I had a 55 Chevy that I bought from my father for $10. So
$10.
$10. He felt like I had to pay something, so it was $10. So.
And what were the options, if any, in the 55 Chevy?
Well, we actually had one of the first air conditioners in that, and it had tubes in the back, and it would shoot little pieces of ice out. Back in those days, we did not have school cars. We didn't have charter buses, and so I transported my early teens and my early athletic teams in my 55 Chevy. And that worked until it blew an engine in New Braunfels, and we had to leave it on the side of the road. And my dad had to come get it and put a new engine in it. So,
So Georgetown undoubtedly has changed a lot in 45 years. Can you describe to us Georgetown in 1975?
well, we didn't have a McDonald's. We had, I think, one stoplight. The university itself was so much smaller, and the city was smaller, and but it always had a really good feel. It's always had a good feel of home to me, something that I've always enjoyed. Well, a lot of people say, where are you from? I'll say Georgetown, even though technically I live in Round Rock right now. 45 years I've been affiliated with the city, and it's been fun to watch it grow. And we've always had the county seat right there in the middle, but everything around it has changed a great deal.
You were an outstanding volleyball coach. Your first 20 years at Southwestern as a volleyball coach, finishing as high as second in the nation. Was that 1981?
Yes,
And was that the year that the tournament was at BYU Hawaii?
No, that one was out in Concord, West Virginia.
Okay. What year was BYU Hawaii?
I think 89, because that's the team that's going to be. We had two nationals in Hawaii.
Okay.
The 1989 team finished third in the nation, and they're going to be inducted into our Southwestern Hall of Fame next fall.
Wow, we should probably give a round of applause for that team.
But the memorable thing about the team in 1981 is the two teams that made it to nationals were the Texans and the Hawaiians, and it snowed the day of the finals, and both teams are out there playing in the snow, and the coach for University of Hawaii Hilo, Sharon Peterson, who a former setter for the U.S. Olympic team, I wasn't intimidated at all, but we're watching our teams, and I said, guys, you're about to play in the finals of nationals, and they're like, Coach, it's snowing, So with Texans, snow take a priority.
So in 89, you were in Laie, Hawaii, which is 5 miles from the Austin compound, right down the road in Punaluu, Hawaii. What do you remember about your time in Laie?
Well, we had great matches there. We played on the BYU campus. They were really great hosts. I do remember at that tournament, in volleyball, it was very difficult to beat teams that were from the West Coast, which included what we consider Hawaii. No one was beating those teams. And we went out there at the national tournament. We beat 2 out of the 3 Hawaiian teams. One of them was the featured match against BYU Hawaii. And there were 2,000 screaming Hawaiians, and they were up above us. They were just rowdy as all get out. We won them in a close match, and they were screaming. They were storming the court. I grabbed my team around me. I was afraid for our safety, and they all came up, and they're going, what a great match. What a great match. Y'all played so well. And I was like...
They said y'all?
Well, I doubt that they said y'all. But they were so complimentary and so supportive. I was very impressed with their hospitality.
So that trip in 1989 was just after the wrap of the Magnum PI series. What are your thoughts on Magnum PI?
Well, I've always liked Tom Selleck. Who doesn't? So.
That's it? That's all I have to say about Magnum PI?
Well, I watched all the episodes,
Okay.
But he didn't show up for my matches, so.
We've been gone for a year.
Yeah.
So work-life balance is something a lot of professional coaches struggle with, me included. What's your advice on that?
What was the first?
Work-life balance, a struggle for professional coaches.
I have to admit, at the start of my career, probably the first third, I did not have work-life balance. It was work, and that was it. And I just about worked myself into a nervous breakdown before I started figuring out. My belief at that time was nobody was going to outwork me when it came to recruiting, whether it came to coaching, whether it came to scouting. Nobody was going to outwork me. And I knew we were at that time period that we could build a national power if we really did it. And so it paid benefits, but then I started realizing the importance of being able to have work-life balance and know when to step back and give yourself a break and take downtime.
The reinstatement of football at Southwestern was a process that took more than a decade. Of course, I wasn't around till the very, very end of it. Can you tell us about the whole process that led up to football coming back in 2013?
Well, what most people don't realize, I've been athletic director 25 years, and from my very first year as athletic director, I was already being asked what would it take to reinstate football. So I probably did 3 different feasibility studies to add football, and we even brought in an outside consultant and talked about it, but it wasn't until we started getting serious. And one of the things that I said, I can add swimming, I can add soccer, I can add a lot of sports, but you don't just add football. Football is something that is going to shape this university. It's going to impact the town-gown relationship. It's just has such immense impact. So it needed to be a buy-in by the whole university.
What year was the first feasibility?
Well, my first year as being AD, so probably around 1995.
And what kept them at that time from adding football?
The cost, and at that time we were NAIA, and so it was going to be a scholarship, and it wasn't until as we started moving into Division III, and when you're recruiting 120 football players and we needed more males, that we were able to start seeing that there's some very tangible benefits besides just having football.
The correct answer was I was just finishing high school and wasn't available yet, but I'll take yours. That's okay.
You're on my radar screen.
So this has been a challenging season for us. You and I have talked about it, of course, away from this. Yeah. We lost 7 starters by the midpoint of our season. Multiple quarterbacks. We lost 4 offensive starters last week alone. More than 30 players overall lost to injury. What, if any, season of your career most resembled this, and how did you react?
Yeah, I would probably say my 1982 season was, or 82 or 83 season, where we had a lot of talent. We were ranked top 5 in the nation, and things just continued to not go right. And you can feel that vibe as you're a coach. You can feel, one more thing going wrong, one more thing going wrong. You're having a morning practice and you have an All-American middle blocker, and she's going out for an ordinary middle attack drill and wipes out and takes out her knee for the rest of the season. And you just know this is not good. And those are the kinds of seasons, and I've tried to counsel you that all of us as coaches, different people here have had coaching seasons like that. We all have those seasons, and you just try and take the most positive things from it, get through the season, and build for the next year. But everybody has them, and I just know that this is a blip on our radar screen.
Mickey, could you turn the camera over to Mr. Glenn Schwab, please? He's the center of our next question. So Glenn Schwab, our current Associate Athletic Director, will be succeeding you as our Athletic Director. What a positive announcement for us. What advice, certainly. What advice do you have for him right now in front of the millions and millions of fans of SU Football Weekly?
Well, as I tease, when I told the staff about it, I said I've been prepping Glenn for 4 or 5 years, and if he's not ready yet, either he's a slow learner or I'm a bad teacher. But we have been lockstep together. I think we've had the benefit of almost having 2 athletic directors. My best words of advice to Glenn is you're not going to please everybody, and in fact, some days you're not going to please anybody. And
wait, is he becoming the football coach?
You never know with new athletic directors. So I never called any timeouts for you, though.
But you're coming to the game this Saturday. You might get to do that.
So he did let me call one play in preseason practice. He held up a sheet and said, pick one. And so I picked one, and that was it. But Glenn knows he's been in the business long enough. He's ready to do this, and he's mostly going to have to be able to triage, knowing what is most important, and because every single one of the coaches thinks they're the most important that minute, and they want 100% of your attention. And you love them all, you care about all of their programs, but you do have to do triage and figure out what is the most important thing that we have to do.
I've been at Southwestern for 8 years and 9 months. I have 27 keys, and I know what 3 of them do. How many keys do you have?
Oh, I have 2 sets, but I color-coded the 3 keys that I want to use,
So
and I'm not
3
sure.
keys is the magic number.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the other ones go to, but I'm afraid to throw them away because they might go to something really important, like, I don't know, Denise's safe or something. I don't know.
Do you have a key for the trophy case of the field house? Because no one knows where that is.
Maybe not.
What one item in your office has been there the longest?
What item in there has been the longest? Gosh, I will tell you, there is one item that has been there since my very first day. I started, I'm on about my 5th office, but my very first day, I was in the Old West Gym, and all the male coaches were on one end, and I was the only coach on the other end, and I made sure that I went and saw them every day. But when I walked into that office, there was an old desk blotter that kind of like graph paper. And I have had that desk blotter on my desk every year for 45 years.
Wow.
So, and Denise says it's going with me when I leave, so.
The oldest thing in your office is?
Me.
No, I know the answer to this. It's a loaded question.
Oh, no.
You have you have a brick from West Gym.
Yes, I do. I have not only a brick from West Gym, but I have a piece of the original Gym West floor that our dear friend Bob Radford saved for me. And I asked for a piece, and it's got the actual one of the lines from the volleyball court on it. So the court that I coach so much on. So you are right. I forgot about my little trophy case there.
A 45-year career at one institution is almost unprecedented. What was the secret?
I think the fact that Southwestern allowed me to keep growing. I grew as a professional. I was a young, dumb pup when I came to Southwestern, and but I kept growing. I kept getting challenges. The athletic department was growing. The university was growing, and they kept rehiring me. So I guess that was the secret.
I recently found out that you are a Disney junkie. In your opinion, what are the top 3 Disney movies?
Oh. Boy,
And we'll wait. I mean, we've got no other guests tonight, so.
Yeah, well, the probably the most recent is The Lion King, and I just loaned that to you, and
We brought it back tonight. Don't let me leave without it, because we watched it. We brought it back.
I have the old and the new versions, and I teased Joe. I said, when I die, somebody's going to find my whole closet of Disney movies, and but probably The Lion King's one of my favorites.
Did you announce your retirement when you found out about the new Disney app?
That factored in there pretty seriously. In fact, it's part of the small print on my separation agreement, isn't it, Elma? So, yeah.
Footnote 12 says Elma, our HR director, Elma Benavides. Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be your only football coach. It's been a privilege to be your only football coach. When you found out, just as you sat down, I was interviewing you, and thanks for not getting up and looking for a professional. But thank you so much for the support with football and bringing it back the right way. And what an opportunity for all of our student athletes. So one more time, thank you to Dr. Glademont, our athletic director.
Yeah.
I can't stand, I'll be off the screen, but everyone else will stand. We'll be back. Rob will be back to talk about our sponsors, talk about what else is going on with Southwestern Athletics in segment 3 of SU Football Weekly.
Well, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Shaw. What an awesome interview. Let's give one more round of applause for that. That was amazing, awesome. Appreciate you, Dr. Munn, and all of your service here at Southwestern University. Speaking of things going on at Southwestern, some exciting news. We'll read a few things that are happening here at Southwestern University. The Pirates' Hayden Smith was named the COSIDA Academic All-District Football First Team for District 8, the college sports. Yeah, let's give him a round of applause. Congratulations, Hayden, to that right here on the Southwestern University football team. The College Sports Information Directors of America announced that on Thursday. This is Smith's second academic all-district award, earning the honor previously in 2017. In his 5 games played before a season-ending injury, Smith totaled 33 tackles, including 23 of those were solo, averaging 6.5 or a little bit more per game. 7 of those tackles were for losses, totaling 28 yards. He also had 1 interception, 1 pass broken up. In the classroom, we talk about that so much here at Southwestern University. He carries a 3.927 GPA. Hayden, that is awesome. Majoring in physics, minoring in mathematics. Hey, a big announcement here with their first ever SCAC Women's Soccer Championship. Congratulations to the girls on that. We were actually out at the end of that game and got to catch it. Just a phenomenal finish. With that championship on the line in a double overtime penalty kick shootout, the Southwestern University Pirates put their hopes in the hands of senior goalkeeper Mary Cardoni. Friends, she did not disappoint, corralling a kick from Trinity and securing the SCAC Women's Soccer Championship. Yeah, we can just keep clapping. Let's keep it going. Well, the Southwestern University Pirates women's soccer team makes their first appearance in the NCAA tournament this weekend. They will face off against host school Hardin-Simmons University. The Pirates' first-round match taking place, of course, Saturday, November the 16th at 3:30 p.m. in Abilene, Texas at the Hardin-Simmons University Soccer Complex. Southwestern currently 16-4-1, Hardin-Simmons 17-2-1 after clinching its 17th consecutive ASC championship. For more information on what's going on around Southwestern, as always, visit southwesternpirates.com. Hey, we also want to mention the sponsors as well. We talk about them every week. We'll go over that list. These folks make a lot of what happens here possible. Gary Brown, CPA, John F. Lewis, CPA, State Farm, Stephanie Featherstone, BBVA, First Texas Bank, R Bank, Texel Credit Union, Don Hewlett Chevrolet Buick, Antioch Georgetown Church, Grooveline Productions, Boomtown Escapes, Primerica Financial Solutions, Upstream Investment Partners, Stansky's Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB Family Emergency Room, St. David's Georgetown, Eagles Wings, the Sheraton Georgetown Hotel and Conference Center. Thank you, Sheraton, as always, here on this season finale show. We appreciate them letting us be here every single week. Georgetown Palace Theater, also Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Minuteman Press, Waterboy Graphics, Berkshire Hathaway. Roger, where are you at, Roger? There he is, Roger, with his second week in a row appearance. Welcome back, Roger. Georgetown Commercial Properties, Turnip Seed Real Estate Group, Chick-fil-A, Double Dave's Pizza, Mama Foo's, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Monument Cafe, Rudy's, Sloshki's, I'm getting hungry. Whataburger, CJ's Catering, CJ's Sports Bar, Wolf Ranch, Georgetown Title, Hello Georgetown, and Website Mojo, and also the City of Georgetown. Again, thank you to all these sponsors. We sincerely appreciate all that you do and how much you mean to Southwestern University. Friends, we'll step aside. We'll take a quick break as we enter segment 4. We'll look ahead to this week's matchup, and we'll also do a season recap. We've still got one more game, but stay with us, friends. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues here in just a few moments. Welcome back to our fourth and final segment here on SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Everybody having a good time tonight? Thank y'all for being here. Well, Southwestern, a tough matchup as they face Hardin-Simmons University, 1 p.m. on the road in Abilene, Texas. I was driving through Abilene. Of course, we just had a game there for Sam Houston State, and I'm wondering how many colleges can Abilene, Texas have? But they are on the road in Abilene. Southwestern lost to the Cowboys last year at home, 35-49. This is a team, talking about Hardin-Simmons, a very tough competitor this season. They barely lost to UMHB 14-15. They put up almost 100 points in a 91-29 rout versus McMurray back on November the 2nd. The Cowboys ranked number 13 in Division III by the AFCA and number 15 by D3Football.com. Coach, as I just talked about, a very tough opponent on the road to close out the season. Hardin-Simmons appears to be stronger than they were last year. In fact, maybe one of the best that they've been in a very long time. It's one of the best offenses that you'll face this season, maybe one of the best in the conference. Division I transfer quarterbacks on that team. Southwestern seeking to reestablish the philosophy that the season started with, constant improvement. Coach, what's the mindset heading into this one? It's going to be a tough one.
You outlined a lot of the really important things. They are the best offense that we've played all year. They're probably the best offense in Division III. They're underrated at being number 13. They had one game where they had 6 turnovers against TLU, and TLU beat them by 3 points. That's how good they are. They could overcome 6 turnovers and barely lose by 3 points. They're going to try to score 100 points on us because they're trying to audition for the playoffs, and they're going to miss them. There are a lot of one-loss runner-ups in conferences. So in our division, there are 32 playoff teams. There are 27 automatic bids, so there's only 5 at-large teams. So it's really hard to be an at-large team. Almost every year, our number 2 is an automatic. They're one of those 5s. But Texas Lutheran, who's very good, lost to Hendricks in their season opener. If you remember, we talked about that when they had 250 yards in penalties and 4 turnovers themselves. So they got upset by Hendricks. Then TLU upsets Hardin-Simmons, and the dominoes fall, and all of a sudden Hardin-Simmons is a 2-loss team, and they're on the outside looking in. They lost to Mary Hardin-Baylor on a last-second field goal. They led the entire game, and then they lost on a very last-second field goal. They are As always, a top 10 team, as good as anyone we're going to face, by far the best offense that we're going to face. It's going to be a big challenge because we're down to somewhere between 2 and 4 defensive starters. We'll see how guys are feeling on Saturday and how long they can go. As you mentioned in the first segment, we lost 4 offensive starters ourselves in the first in our last game. So it's going to be very difficult. And what a difference a year makes. In the last 2 years, 2 years ago we went up there and we played them really tough. We lost 21-7, but it was 14-7 in the fourth quarter. And we had the ball in their end. On our first drive, we didn't get any points. We drove the ball down to their 15-yard line. It's a game that we could have won. They scored the decisive touchdown on a fluke. We held them to a 4th down, and they went to kick a field goal, and it was a bad snap, and their holder picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. We rushed it and kind of lost the edge. We're trying to block the field goal, and they ran it in. That was the fluke that they needed. Also, they had a bad punt snap where their punter, who was their wide receiver, ran it for a first down when we were rushing the punt. So they really were very lucky to beat us 2 years ago. Last year we were excited to play them. A great offensive day, 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Our quarterback, Fred Hover, had a great day. David Brandenburg, who's out, had a 51-yard touchdown reception on our first drive. But it's a little bit different. And so we are definitely, as you said, we're going back to how we got to be good. How we built our football team from 2013 to the championship year in 2016 was talking about constant improvement and getting better every day. And we've done that for the last several years. This year we got into such a triage mode that we got away from talking about those things and just trying to field a football team. But we're getting back to where they are what they are, and we want to end things on the note of how we're going to be good now and in the future is by getting better every day. We don't play for the scoreboard. The scoreboard doesn't matter till the end of the game. We're going to play, and we're going to compete, and we're just going to go out and do everything that we possibly can.
Coach, I talked about this Hardin-Simmons team with 2 quarterbacks transfers from Division I. Of course, some other players or positions that we should keep an eye out for on this one.
Well, they're 2 deep in Division I quarterbacks, and they're 2 deep at first-team all-conference running backs. Their offensive line's the best in the conference, and they'll have 3 all-conference wide receivers. So by my count, they've got about 9 first-team all-conference players. I don't know if the other coaches will vote it that way, but they're truly elite on offense. They've got the pick of the litter as far as the offensive talent.
Coach, practices this week, it's been a little cold, wet. How have those been?
Well, I told our quarterbacks this week it's a good thing you don't play where it's cold. Because this week we would lose to about 200 of the 250 teams in our division just because it was cold. I mean, our guys can't go out without putting their hands in their pants and their hands in their sleeves, and they're putting towels around it. So it's been a mess. I mean, I don't know. We got a lot of work to do on our mental toughness. It was cold this week, and we were more worried about it being cold than we were worried about preparing for Hardin-Simmons.
Coach, it seems like, the last few weeks it's been kind of groggy during the week, and then lo and behold, on game day, the sun decides to come out.
It's been a weird year. Tomorrow will be no different. Every Friday practice we have has been cold. It didn't rain. Well, did it rain today? I didn't pay much attention.
It did this morning, and then the sun came out.
So
and football was coming.
It rains every Thursday. It's cold every Friday, and then it's pretty nice on Saturday. So luckily for our guys, they don't have to worry about sticking their hands inside their shirts and wrapping towels around their heads. So maybe we can go give them a good effort. But I think we got some work done. But it was disappointing that our guys were more worried about the weather than they were about the opponent.
Coach, as I ask every week in this ball game, you may have already touched on some of those, but keys to victory.
Keys to victory. We need to make the game go really fast. They're going to be successful, and I'm not knocking our guys, but the longer that's a close game, the tougher it gets. The pressure goes to them because they're auditioning for the playoffs. They're trying to make a statement to the regional committee that ranks the top 10, and then we'll pick the eventual 5 at-large teams. They're trying to audition. That's why they tried to score 100 points on McMurray 2 weeks ago. They're going to try to do the same thing on us. So it's firmly a game where the longer it's a close game, the more they're going to worry, the more they're going to panic, the more their coaches are going to press, the more their head coach is going to try to press things. So we need to make sure we can make the game shorter and that there's fewer possessions for them on offense, which means longer possessions for us on offense. So it's really important that we can get first downs on offense. We can maintain possession of the football. We have a very good punter in Victor Winfield. Let him change field position with punts if we don't score. But I will say this, if we turn the football over like we've done consistently this year, we're going to get buried. And I've told our players this. We'll take advantage of every one of those turnovers. So if we can't end with a field goal, a PAT, or a punt, it's going to get away from us really quick. So I think it's very simple. It's a very narrow line to victory. There's a line to victory. We have to end every drive with a punt. We have to get consistent first downs and limit the number of opportunities that their offense has.
Well, Coach, looking forward to that game. Of course, you can catch it right here on SHN Sports. 1 p.m. kickoff. We'll have the action actually go on about 10 to 15 minutes early to kind of do a little bit of a preview. Coach, normally we would have a show the following week as a season wrap-up, but tonight this is our season finale. We can talk all day about this season and where it's been, but, we talk so much about the injury-plagued season that it's been. But just for me, on the outside looking in and really seeing what's happening with the team this year, you've got to give a lot of credit to the guys because through so much adversity, this could be a team that could have a lot more losses in that column versus wins. Through all the injuries, I want to give them a round of applause just for fighting, continuing that grit, and continuing that resilience that you've instilled in these kids and that the athletic staff has instilled in these kids. Coach, kind of your final thoughts on this season. I know we've got one more game left. Of course, we want that victory, but one more game to go.
We at least I and some of our coaches have looked at some of those parallel things. We are, by any measure, by any ranking service that you look at, we're the best academic school and the best football conference in the country. Okay, you can applaud for that. When things don't stack up for our parallel schools, it goes a lot worse than our season. Northwestern lost 2 quarterbacks. They're 1-8. We've lost 3 quarterbacks. We're way better than 1-8. Stanford is also 4-5. They've lost some players. So when the other teams who are the academic teams that are a little bit different recruiting-wise in the bunch, now it's different Division I. Stanford makes plenty of exceptions, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the high academic schools relative to their peers, and when things don't stack up, things go way worse than it went with us. Our players, as you said, deserve a ton of credit. We've got guys that have really fought. We had that first rut patch when TLU came out and got us and we didn't score a point. That was a gut check situation for our team. And we lost some guys. Some guys left the football team then and shortly after, and that was okay because the guys that remained were getting back to what we want to be, which is we're going to play and we're going to give our best effort. We understand that the score doesn't matter till the very end. But we have guys right now that just want to compete. And there are a lot of young guys, but they're getting to where whatever the game situation is, they're going to go play as hard as they can, and we love that. And that's how we built our football program. The guys that were champions in 2016, which includes our seniors, was laid by a foundation of guys that learned that when you're at a school like ours, you may not win every week because we have a lot of, not adversity, but we have a lot of hurdles in front of us that some schools don't have. And things have to break right for us to have an amazing season. So you have to be ready to push through whatever happens. You have to be a guy that just loves to compete. And we have a lot of young men that have shown that they really just love to compete. And so it's been fun to come to work with them every day. Some of their not so mental tough this week in the cold notwithstanding. They've pretty much been a fun group to come and coach. But with that said, we've had a lot of guys that came out this week in short sleeves. Nothing bothers them. Major George, it could be a negative of whatever it is. He's coming out. Austin Emery as a quarterback, the cold didn't, I played where it's cold. It didn't bother me. You don't want to know why? I was wearing 4 sweatshirts because I took care of it before practice. Austin's injured this week. He came out with no sleeves on Tuesday and Wednesday. I said, Austin, go put some clothes on so you don't get sick. So we've got some mentally tough guys that are really the foundation. And I challenged our seniors this week. I meet with our seniors every week on Sunday. I said, gentlemen, it's unfortunate that our team goals this week did not materialize. We talked early in the year after winning 47-7 and 50-3, and guys mentioned where things could go if we can do this and we can do that. None of that happened. So I want this week to be about your legacy, how you can leave things, and the people you can affect this week in a positive way, and how you can get us back to the way that you were raised in our program of getting better every day. That's how we had 3 straight winning seasons. That's how we won a conference championship, and that's our path forward. So I think our seniors have done a very good job this week. A ton of credit to those guys, and hopefully we're going to go give this team, who is very good, an elite team nationally, hope we're going to go give them a great effort.
Well, Coach, as always, appreciate you. The term legacy is something that I think of a lot, and I know that these kids at Southwestern, especially the seniors, are going to leave behind a great legacy. This is just one step in their careers of where they're heading in life. And so one more time, let's give a round of applause to those seniors. Good luck on Saturday. And remember, it's your legacy and what you do, and that's going to be a positive thing as we carry forward. Coach, thank you for this season. It's been a lot of fun here, and as always, we appreciate all of the Southwestern University staff. I wanted to give a special thank you to Dr. Munn as well, because as we all know, and each one of us can pause and think about opportunities that we've had in life and why we are sitting where we're at tonight and the jobs that we have. And Dr. Munn, thank you for giving us an opportunity, and me an opportunity here at SHN to broadcast Southwestern University football. So I will always be forever in debt to you as well. Thank you and all of the staff here at Southwestern. Well, friends, again, we'll have that game on Saturday, 1 p.m. in Abilene. Make sure to tune in. And, hey, it's only 2.5 hour drive up to Abilene or so, 3 hours. Get in your car and come up. Let's support these Pirates on one last game on the road as we close out the season. Coach Austin, again, thank you. Your daughter's here tonight as well.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, she's going to make noise. She has nothing to say.
All right.
Maybe next year.
Well, thanks to everybody here in the audience as well. Thank you for being here all season. Again, to all of our wonderful sponsors. And one final time on the season finale to the Sheraton Georgetown Hotel. Thank you, Sheraton, for having us here, for the wonderful food. Looking forward to doing this again coming up next year. As always, friends, on behalf of Mickey Holt and Nathan Hyde, I'm Rob Hipp. One final time, reminding you tonight, we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other, friends. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there tonight needs you. Good night. God bless from Georgetown, Texas. Let's go, Bucks. We'll see you on Saturday. Good night, everyone.
Too.